Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of This Week in the World of Football. This is episode number 358 for August 20th, 2024. I'm your host, Randy Snow. On this week's episode, the Arizona Rattlers are your 2024 Indoor Football League champions. Could the Arena Football League be playing under a different name next season? And Nicolas Cage is going to play John Madden in an upcoming movie? The heck's going on around here? But I'm not here all by myself. Across the table from me, as always, is my son Adam.
I will not have you questioning the greatness that is Nicolas Cage. We will get into that later.
Yeah.
I will not argue with you. The man has hardware on his mantle for his performances. I will not hear anything else to besmirch this man. An American treasure, this dude.
He could have stopped after Raising Arizona.
That
was a
you were
masterpiece.
missing out on so much of his great filmography, sir.
We shall see. We come to you each week from the fabulous World of Football Man Cave, located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. Our goal is to educate, inform, and entertain our listeners with the glorious buffet that is the world of football. All this while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. Thanks for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms: Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. So you can simply ask your Alexa device to play the World of Football podcast. We also have timestamps down in the descriptions of both the podcast and many of our YouTube videos, so you can go right to the topics you really want to listen to. You can find our podcast in its full audio form on our YouTube channel. Just search for The World of Football Kalamazoo or use the handle @The World of Football in the YouTube search bar. You'll find many other selected videos on our YouTube channel, like our CFL Week 10 recap, which was out last Wednesday, I believe, and an episode of Just Lying Around, where Adam and Kyle talked about the Lions-Chiefs preseason game in Week 2. And we do have some upcoming videos. Our CFL Week 11 recap is coming in the next day or so. We recorded that yesterday. We also have another episode of Just Lying Around coming out after the Lions-Steelers preseason game this week. And coming on September 4th, our weekly NFL Picks returns for the 2024 season. All right, so let's begin our tour around the world of football. And we start off this week with the Indoor Football League Championship game. Yes, that was played on Saturday in Las Vegas, and it saw the Arizona Rattlers defeat the Massachusetts Pirates by the score of 53-16. I saw some of this game, and it wasn't much of a game. Arizona led 29-0 at halftime. I was watching this game, and I had it on recall. I was watching it at Aaron's house. Had the Lions preseason game on, and we were going back and forth between the two games, and boy, it was just all Arizona. I mean, I think it was like 8-0 after the first quarter. So early on, there wasn't much scoring, but man, 29-0 at halftime, and they just, blew the doors out from there.
Yeah, same thing. I was watching the Lions preseason game, and I remember, like, oh yeah, the Indoor Football League National Championship is being played right now. And I forgot on my YouTube TV that I was able to go over to that, because I kept thinking it was on YouTube. I'm like, I don't want to go open up YouTube. But I forgot, so I was just going back and forth between the channels at some point. But yeah, to see it was 29-0 at halftime. I texted you because I knew you were watching the game at Aaron's. So I thought for sure you guys would have like two screens going to watch.
No, we were just, every time there's a commercial, we'd flip back from one to the other. And after a while, I didn't really bother to go back to the Arizona game because it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't much of a game.
Yeah, clearly, because I even messaged our friend Trey over at Off the Wall during this game. Boy, oh boy. I mean, we both picked the Massachusetts Pirates last week to win the game. I thought the Pirates were coming in hot. And
I picked the Arizona team.
Yeah, you did. But yeah, he pretty much agreed with you. Yeah, they got stomped. The Pirates got stomped on. And then I asked him because, during the game they had like some new jerseys. Like both teams were like wearing special jerseys, sure. And I didn't know about it. But clearly they were auctioning off the jerseys. Trey said they're like looking to auction them off. And I mean, I thought the jerseys looked, okay. I thought the Rattlers looked pretty nice, to be honest with you. But I mean, to tune in for a championship game, and I really thought that even if the Pirates would have lost, it would have been a closer game than that. The fact that they just got shellacked the way they did, And
Well, they
what's the quarterback's name? Dalton Sneed, the quarterback for the Rattlers,
think so, yes.
not to win back-to-back championships with 2 different ball clubs. He took
Right.
the Bay Area Panthers last year, and this year taking the Arizona Rattlers. So, and the Rattlers, historic arena/indoor franchise.
Right. Many championships over
Many
the years.
championships over the years in whatever league that team
Yep.
has been in.
Yep.
So that organization, hats off to them for their just consistency in just putting together championship teams every so often. Like every few years, it might take a couple years,
Right.
but they'll get a championship team together. So the pedigree of that organization is, bar none, essentially across any of these indoor arena leagues. So kudos to them for winning that championship. And I thought the CBS broadcast when I checked in, it was nice.
Mhm.
Not the same charm as I think the Arena Football League kind of had there towards the end, but
True.
still not a bad showing. It's nice to see leagues like this on CBS Sportsnet.
Sure. Yeah. I don't know if the fact that they had 2 weeks between the end of the playoffs and the championship game, they had a bye week
Yeah.
before the championship. I wonder if that affected Massachusetts at all.
Hard to say.
I mean, they had to go halfway across the country. Arizona just had to go up the road a little bit to Las
But
Vegas.
still, they have 2 weeks to do that, though. I mean, you could have planned it out. Maybe that does kill your momentum because, they got hot in the playoffs at
Yes,
the right
they did.
time, and they just absolutely crushed their opponents in the Eastern Conference. I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, when I watched and what little I watched of that second half, Arizona just seemed to bully them. They just seemed to push them around, have their way with them. So Arizona, to me, it just seems like was clearly the better team.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
they deserve this championship. So
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say about it.
Yeah. They were both, number 3 seeds. They both knocked off somebody to get to where they're at. But Massachusetts just did not show up for that game. I don't know. It was sad to see.
It was sad. It was a surprise and a little disappointing.
All right, well, now we're going to go north of the border and talk about some games in the Canadian Football League with Adam.
That's right. It was week 11 up there in the CFL, and boy, did we have some great games, and boy, did we have some stinkers. On Thursday night, we saw the Ottawa Red Blacks defeat the Calgary Stampeders 31-29 to give Calgary their first home loss of the season and improves the Ottawa Red Blacks to 6-2-1 on the season. Ottawa's a team that we've been talking about for a little bit now.
Yep.
As a team on the rise, probably the second best team in the league.
Yep.
Who's that first team overall? Well, it's none other than a team that played Friday night, the Montreal Alouettes, who defeated the Saskatchewan Roughriders 27-24. They had to come back during this game, and they won on a controversial touchdown run by quarterback Davis Alexander. Was his foot out of bounds?
Boy, some replays, it looks like he's in, and others, it looks like he's out. So I don't know. The command center made the final decision because they review all scoring plays, and they let it stand. So
I mean, maybe it was one of those
I don't
situations
know.
where even though they had all that footage, like maybe it was just inconclusive, and you just got to stick with the call on the field.
Could
I
be.
mean,
I don't
Could have
know.
been one of those things. Who knows? But yeah, the Montreal Alouettes are probably the best team in the league. The fact they had to come back again, the fact that it doesn't matter who's playing quarterback
Yep.
for this team, the fact that they're 9-1, I mean, is astounding and good for them, especially after winning last year's Grey Cup, which was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah.
All right, and then Saturday night, talk about surprises. How about the Edmonton Elks getting their third straight win of the season after defeating the Hamilton Tiger Cats 47-22? Edmonton's a team that we've liked all season, despite when they were 0-7.
Right.
And, they had those 3 straight games where they lost by field goals. This team could be a totally different. They could easily be 6 and what would the record be if they're 3-7? So if they won 3 more, they'd be 6-4 right now.
Yeah.
If they would have, those close games got flipped. And they played pretty close games all year. I don't think there was anything but one game even where they got blown out a little bit. But I mean, Trey Ford was out again this week. They had another quarterback starting. Was it Trey Powell or I forget his first name? Powell. Tyler Powell.
Something Powell. I can't remember his name now.
Yeah, but Powell started. He got hurt, and McLeod Bethel Thompson had to come in again. Why you don't just go back to McLeod Bethel Thompson as your starter? I don't know, but he came in again and got him the win.
Yep.
So even though I don't know what it is with this team now, but I think you got to keep McLeod in there until Trey Ford gets back. Trey Ford's your undeniable number 1 quarterback.
Sure.
But McLeod can handle the business. I think. I don't know what it is. That team's gotten a spark since Trey Ford got in there, and McLeod's been able to at least, keep the team afloat and got him 2 great wins the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Filling in for him.
Yeah, this was all Edmonton in this game.
Yeah.
The score, I mean, the score looks pretty bad, but man, it was just all Edmonton in that game.
Yeah, and I mean, a scary scene at the start of the game, though.
Yes.
I tuned in while everything was kind of happening. They had the ambulance on the field. A wide receiver,
Luther Hakunavanu
Luther Akunavanu,
on the very first play from
very
scrimmage.
first play of scrimmage.
Nasty tackle.
Because I tuned to that game after the Lions preseason game and the IFL National Championship game. I was like, oh, it's cool. Now I can chip off the CFL. So I watched 3 different leagues that night.
Right.
And I was like, what's happening? I went to X to see if I could find any highlight. There was nothing, not even a replay of what happened to Luther. So scary scene, though, but good to see him. He was moving his arms and his extremities, and it sounds like he'll be all right.
Yeah. In the highlight package for this game on the CFL website, you do see that play, but they don't mention that he got, taken off. They show the tackle and that's it. Then they move on to what happened like a half hour later when the game resumed.
Yeah.
But you do get to see it, and it was a nasty tackle.
Yeah, because we talk about it on the big long show we're gonna have going up, but then you mentioned how they had to wait for that ambulance to come back.
Yep.
And then just in case another player got hurt, and unfortunately it was
Yep.
Powell, the quarterback
Yep.
for the Elks, who got hurt next, and then he got carted off. And
Did he get carted off the
I know
field?
you're the one who told me. I didn't.
Well, they said they took him to the hospital in an ambulance, but I think he kind of walked off the field.
Okay.
But they wanted to be safe with him, and so they
Okay.
they took him from there.
See, I
But
just
yeah, no, with Hakunavanu, yes, they brought the ambulance right onto the field.
That I saw.
And put him on a stretcher and took him away. But the Powell quarterback, he just he went to the sidelines on his own power, and then they took him from there.
Okay.
Probably from the locker room.
All right. And then on Sunday, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers defeated the BC Lions 20-11. This was the return of Nathan Rourke to the Canadian Football League as he signed with the British Columbia Lions.
Yeah, his old team.
And I was a bit surprised to see he was going to make the start.
Yeah.
But it was a rough return for Nathan Rourke.
Yes.
1 game in, 2 interceptions he threw. Just not so sharp after playing in an NFL preseason game a week ago.
Yeah, it's been less than a week. I think it was last Saturday. So here it is.
This is Sunday.
Sunday.
It's a little over a week.
Yeah, he was playing in a game for the Atlanta Falcons, and all of a sudden now he's back up in Canada and trying to get reacclimated to everything up there. It was a really, really rough start. He only completed 8 out of like 25 passes, I think. So yeah, rough return, but I think he'll be fine. Give him a couple weeks to get back in rhythm with his receivers, and he'll be fine, I think.
And on by this week, the Toronto Argonauts. So your standings through 11 weeks of the CFL season are as follows. In the East Division, the Montreal Alouettes at 9-1, the Ottawa Redblacks at 6-2-1, the Toronto Argonauts at 5-4, and the Hamilton Tiger Cats at 2-8. In the West Division, you have the Saskatchewan Roughriders at 5-4-1, the British Columbia Lions at 5-5 after dropping 5 straight.
4 straight.
4 straight. Okay,
Yeah,
4 straight. Sorry. The Calgary Stampeders at 4-6, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers at 4-6, and the Edmonton Elks at 3-7. And some news this week from the CFL before we move on. The Edmonton Elks do have a new owner, and that would be Larry Thompson. The team had been a publicly owned team since it was founded in 1949, and so
yeah, he's the first private owner of the team since it was formed, and congratulations to him.
Yeah, got a win on
Yep.
I saw a
He's
video of him
1-0.
at the game, 1-0 as an owner. So we'll see. Hopefully, he can turn that organization around. They've had a few rough years, and they got some bright spots there though, and they look like they could turn it around. They're in a very, very tight West Division right now.
Yeah.
I mean, they get one more win if Calgary or Winnipeg, drop another one. I mean, they're right in the thick of it.
Right.
I mean, all those teams they're 2 wins back from even the Saskatchewan Roughriders who got 5 wins. So
it's not out of the realm of possibility that Edmund can still make the playoffs.
and
this year.
I am pulling for them out of the West, to be honest with you. They are my dark horse. I would love to see them make some noise. All right. We stay in the Great White North for some Canadian college football that Randy's going to talk to us about.
Yeah, they had a couple of exhibition games, but there was one actual game on Saturday in USPORTS. That's their equivalent to the NCAA up there. The Laval Red and Gold defeated the Bishop's Gators by the score of 25-3. And then they also have the Canadian Junior Football League up there, and I just picked out 3 random scores. There were like I think they actually started playing last week too, and I wasn't aware of it, so we could have had some scores last week. So yeah, they're in full swing up there in Canada for college football. So 3 random scores that I picked out this week was the St. Clair Saints over the London Beefeaters, 37-7. The Edmonton Huskies over the Calgary Colts, 25-23, and the West Shore Rebels over the Valley Huskers by the score of 42-24. I think that's Huskers, not Huskies. I hope I wrote that right. But anyway,
somebody will correct you. I hope.
yeah.
Do it because I do it all the time.
I'll get it right next week. All right, so let's head across the pond and talk some European League of Football. Let's see, there were 4 games on Saturday, 4 games on Sunday. In the first game, the Paris Musketeers defeated the Madrid Bravos 15-12. The Tyrol Raiders from Austria shut out the Milano Seamen by the score of 30-0.
Man, don't you just hate it when you just got nothing? Your seamen just aren't able to produce. Your seamen aren't able to just show up and make any sort of noise or any they weren't able to stick around for the game. To not even put up a point.
Moving
just
on,
really sad.
The Vienna Vikings shut out the Fehérvár Enthroners of Hungary 46-0. The Munich Ravens over the Helvetic Mercenaries 38-13. And then on Sunday, it was the Wrocław Panthers of Poland over the Frankfurt Galaxy 54-19. The Stuttgart Surge shut out the Barcelona Dragons 56-0. Cologne Centurions over the Hamburg Sea Devils 30-24. And finally, the Rhine Fire defeated the Berlin Thunder 47-17 with the Prague Lions of Czechoslovakia, or the Czech Republic, on a bye.
Well, that score was 47-14, not 17. You said 47-17. It was 47-14, the Rhine Fire, the defending ELF champs.
And I can't remember who I was saying where Prague was from, but I looked again, and they're from the Czech Republic. And I said that they were from Poland, maybe, but it's the Czech Republic.
Geography was never Randy's strong suit, everybody, all right? This is the same guy whose high school was in Nashville, Michigan, and he always would point at Tennessee on the map when they asked him where it was.
Yeah. Okay, let's go over the standings. In the Eastern Conference of the European Football League, the Vienna Vikings remain perfect at 12-0. They've already clinched their division. The Wrocław Panthers are at 5-6. Berlin Thunder at 5-7. Fehérvár Enthroners at 2-9, and the Prague Lions at 1-10. In the Central Division, it's the Stuttgart Surge on top with a 10-1 record. Tyrol Raiders at 8-3, Munich Ravens at 8-3, Milano Seamen at 3-8, Barcelona Dragons at 2-9, and the Helvetic Mercenaries at 1-10. And then finally in the Western Conference, it's the Rhine Fire at 11-1. They have clinched a playoff spot. The Paris Musketeers, with their win this week, improved to 9-2, and they've also clinched a playoff spot. Madrid Bravos at 7-4, Cologne Centurions at 5-6, Frankfurt Galaxy at 4-7, and the Hamburg Sea Devils at 2-9. They have officially been eliminated from playoffs this year. All right, so now we're going to head back to the States to cover some more football happenings right here in our backyard. We start in the NFL. A lot of quarterback news this week. Vikings quarterback and rookie J.J. McCarthy is out for the season with a knee injury. We talked about him last week. They thought it might be a couple of weeks, depending on what they saw once they went in there to check out his knee, and they found out, it's so bad you're done for the season.
Yeah, I feel bad for Vikings fans of the Vikings organization. They've gone through the gauntlet of just bad stuff happening. I'm sure everybody out there has seen the meme. I don't know if you've seen the meme because I don't know where you trek on the internet, but the post last week was, this was the last 5 weeks for the Vikings. They had that rookie cornerback pass away during the offseason. They had a starting wide receiver get a DUI. They had a starting cornerback tearing their ACL on the first day of practice. They had other starting cornerback getting hurt on the second day of practice. Their first-round quarterback teared their meniscus, and they were out for the season. And then their starting wide receiver got carted off the practice field. So they've just had a lot of stuff going against them this offseason. And it led to a lot of Vikings fans asking if they were cursed, and to which I would say probably.
Well,
as a team that has been cursed and probably still is cursed for all I know, that's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, they are definitely having a bad year. We'll see how their season goes, but yeah, that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Now, in the Lions preseason game, all anyone was talking about, and they re-showed this play so many times.
Can I guess?
If it had been a drinking game, you would have been drunk in no time.
Well, it's
But
easy because it was the Jake Bates 43-yard game-winning field goal
no,
everybody's talking
actually, no,
about.
it was
What?
Patrick Holmes with his behind the
Patrick?
back
Who's
pass
Patrick
to
Holmes?
Kelsey, Travis Kelsey during the Lions game.
I still don't know who Patrick Holmes is.
Uh, Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, see, those are two different guys.
And of course, the Lions did win the game 24-13 when Jake Bates kicked the game-winning 43-yard field goal.
But what did he do? You didn't mention that part.
He kicked the 43-yard game-winning
Patrick
field goal.
Mahomes did?
I said Jake Bates.
Okay, well then why are we talking about Patrick Mahomes?
Because that's all anybody showed was that replay
What
all
replay?
day long.
You
and
didn't
all
mention
night.
what the replay was.
Oh, good God. But if you want
I'm
to,
serious. You didn't actually mention it because I interrupted you. You never actually said what he did.
I did. I said behind the back pass to Travis Kelsey, and
Oh,
man, just shut up over there while I'm talking.
I can't.
Adults are talking over
I'm
here.
doing my job.
And they made such a big deal about this behind the back
Yeah.
pass, and I was telling Aaron, I said somebody else did a behind the back pass in a game somewhere, and I couldn't remember who it was.
Was it Patrick Mahomes?
No, and I don't remember. Oh, I thought it was one of the Redskins quarterbacks.
I don't know.
But anyway, I was wrong, and I'm looking around, and I finally found it. It was Sonny Jurgensen. So
Wow.
if you want to see how this was done, and this was done much better than Patrick Mahomes,
How
go to
dare you?
go to YouTube and Google Sonny Jurgensen behind the back pass, and you will see a great replay of this thing. He flung that thing probably 30 yards behind his back. It was awesome.
If you would have listened to what Patrick Mahomes' explanation was for why they even did this, and yes, we've seen the practice footage of him trying to do this pass before, but didn't you hear Travis Kelsey just ran the wrong route? So
Right,
Patrick
yeah.
got mad
Yeah.
and threw a behind the backwards pass at him, behind the back pass, and Travis Kelsey ended up catching it. But then Kelsey said he didn't know what was happening because he couldn't understand a word that Patrick Mahomes says, which is hilarious.
I don't care.
And it was great. Their banter about this was hilarious.
They had to do something because Taylor Swift wasn't there.
Oh, God. It's a preseason game. I don't care. It was a cool highlight that they're going to show forever, and nobody's ever going to talk about how that
Yep.
was in a preseason game. So,
And once again, the Detroit Lions are on the opposite end of a highlight for somebody else that's going to be played from now until the end of it.
and you know what nobody's going to talk about? How that second string Lions
Yes.
defense held them to only 6 points.
Yep. And how Jake Bates won the game.
Oh, we'll talk about that for the rest of eternity because
Oh,
Jake
sure.
Bates is now the greatest kicker in Lions history. He's the golden foot, as I'm
in
calling him.
recent history, yeah.
No, all time now. Nope, he's going to be
got
the
a
greatest.
long ways to measure up to
Is going to be and will forever be
Hansen,
now our greatest kicker of all time.
who was with the team for 20 years and kicked over 50-yard field goals. That's
And
going to be tough
And
to
guess
match.
what? Jake Bates is going to start his first of many 50-yard field goals and
I hope
60-yard
so.
field goals.
I hope
and
so.
be the first 70-yard field goal kicker in the league's history. You just watch Book It. August, what's today? August 20th, 2024. I said it. Book it.
Okay, well,
Play it on next year's show and tell me I'm
yeah,
wrong.
we may have to put that in.
He's gonna do it
I'm
next
gonna
year.
make it a note
I'm gonna
here.
guarantee it. By this time next year, he'll have kicked that 70-yarder. And if he doesn't, I'll eat my hat. I'm not wearing a hat, so.
All right, let's move on here. Cowboys kicker. Speaking of kickers,
Oh.
Cowboys kicker Brandon Aubrey. I don't know how long he's been with the team. He made a 66-yard field goal in a preseason game against the Raiders, and that unofficially ties the NFL record because they don't count preseason
right.
stats.
But you know, he's a former USFL kicker as well.
Is he? I wasn't sure.
Yep, he was with the Cowboys all last season, I believe. Most of last season, at least. But yeah, he came from the USFL,
Okay.
and he's kind of one of those guys that just came out of nowhere and locked in a job. I think that's what's going to happen with Jake Bates, and Jake Bates will do a better job. So
Okay. I'm going to skip over the next one for a minute because we're going
Oh.
to stick with the quarterback thing here. Gardner Minshew was named the Las Vegas Raiders starting quarterback for Week 1. That kind of surprised me. a little bit.
I watched a video. You know, that's Good Sports. I'll talk about that YouTube channel all the time. I love their energy they bring to their videos. But he mentioned how they had that other rookie quarterback or a quarterback they drafted last year. I can't remember his name. But they got a quarterback battle going on there in Las Vegas. And he joked that the coach has been just so unimpressed with either quarterback, you know, that when the other quarterback threw an interception or whatever in that last preseason game, he just automatically made Gardner Minshew the starter. I don't know. Don't care. It's the Raiders. I don't expect him to do much this year.
Yeah.
I like Gardner Minshew though, and I wish him nothing but the best. But yeah, it's whatever. They're going to change quarterbacks at some point this season. You just have to name a starter to start the year.
Well, they only named him for week 1, so who knows who's going
That's
to
what I'm
start
saying.
week 2.
It's going to change every week.
And the Washington Commanders have named their rookie quarterback, Jaden Daniels, as their starting quarterback. He was the second overall pick in this year's NFL draft, so we'll see how he does being thrown into the fire there for the Commanders.
We'll see. Look, I try not to get all hyped up or overanalyze preseason action.
Right.
He looks, in the highlights I've seen of him, he's looked pretty efficient. And for a rookie quarterback, I think if you're just even moderately efficient, that's enough to get you the starting job, because then you can start building your experience and going from there. I don't know who else they got there. I think they have one of our old quarterbacks, Jeff Driscoll. I think is one of their backup quarterbacks. He had like a huge scramble, I guess, in one of the preseason games. But look, you're the second pick overall in the draft, I believe, right? He's the second overall.
Yes.
I mean, you got to start him. I mean, Washington's a floundering team right now. Maybe they'll be halfway decent because this guy can scramble. It looks like he can make some pretty good throws. We'll see what he can do.
Okay. All right, and here's the story I skipped over a few minutes ago. Nicolas Cage is going to play John Madden in an upcoming biopic.
Great choice.
This is the biggest head scratcher since Michael Keaton was picked to play Batman originally. I don't get this at all.
Well, I'm going
to have to see the result.
I'm going to have to throw some examples your way because, yes, Michael Keaton's a great one. That's a big one that threw pre-internet nerddom into a panic.
Right, yeah.
Mr. Mom's going to play Batman.
People were really upset.
Yeah, and for context also, I was born in 1989. So all this stuff I've had to read and learn about via other stuff. But yeah, so I know everybody freaked out about Michael Keaton, Mr. Mom, playing, or Beetlejuice is going to be Batman. He was, and he's great. Then in 2007 or 6, when they announced Heath Ledger was going to play the Joker, everybody did the same exact thing. Oh, the guy from Brokeback Mountain's going to play the Joker? What a dumb casting. How'd that turn out? He won a stinking Oscar.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's been a couple other ones along the way. Like, you're going to get so-and-so to play this, and it usually turns out great. Ben Affleck as Batman turned out good. His movies weren't great, but he was a good Batman, in my opinion. But look, Nicolas Cage is one of those actors that he's got a great set of filmography. He's got a bunch of great stuff, and he's got a bunch of crap because he had to, pay for his dinosaur skull heads or whatever he's got there. He's got in debt for a long time or what have you. But he's one of those actors. And having ran a YouTube page about movies, I think I know a thing or two. I'd like to think I do. But Nicolas Cage, he did a couple of movies recently that I really dug. He did that, what was it? The Incredible Weight of Massive Talent, Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. It was a film where he played himself. Yeah. And when he gets to chew up scenery, he's phenomenal. And he's cheesy. He's over the top. I mean, I watched Face Off, and I've seen some of his other greats. He's awesome. When he's on Raising Arizona, when he's on, yes, he is great. You give him a good script, the dude can still act. And put him in the John Madden outfit, I'm okay with. I don't know if it's going to be solely a biopic about him. They said it was like a mix of a biopic and a mix of the invention or the creation of the Madden video game. So who knows how much we'll actually see of him. But I can just see him hamming it up just enough to be like, it depends on how they want to make the story. And if it's like kind of tongue-in-cheek fun and it's a little over the top and a little hyper-realistic, where you're like, well, it didn't really happen like this, but this is entertaining the way they're telling it.
Like Weird Al's biography?
Yes, like that movie. If it was like that. Yeah, there's another casting. Nobody said Daniel Radcliffe for Weird Al. That makes no sense.
Well...
Then you see the movie and you're like, this makes perfect sense.
When you say Weird Al, it could be anything. So yeah, that didn't shock me as much as this one.
No, so look, everybody panicking about Nick Cage playing John Madden, just cool it. If they have a certain vision for the film, he's going to fit that vision of whatever the film is. We'll find out what it is. Nick Cage is a great actor, I think, when he gets the good material.
Now, do we know if this is going to be in movie theaters or is it going to be a streaming movie? I
Uh,
haven't seen.
that's a good
You might have
question.
heard. I have not heard.
I can't say specifically. I could probably look it up real quick. But I thought it was a theatrical release, but
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
He did a lot of different stuff for a lot of different uh, you know platforms. So
Well, if and when this comes out, we will definitely have to do a review of the movie.
of course, anytime a football movie comes out.
Yes, of course.
Okay, so right here I'm looking at an article. It says the film is being produced by Amazon MGM. So right off the bat there, that tells me that's a great studio. They've been putting out a lot of good stuff. So that makes me feel really confident in this project. So it could be a film that could directly go to Amazon Prime, but if it's like that good, they're going to put it in theaters.
Hmm.
So at worst, and it's by David O. Russell, a guy who did Silver Linings Playbook, which I really like. He did American Hustle, which I really liked. He's a great filmmaker. So with that kind of vision, I could see this coming out in theaters. But it also wouldn't surprise me if it was like got the Roadhouse treatment where it was like it's a good movie, but they put it on Amazon Prime. So we'll have to wait and see. But I will watch it day one. Nicolas Cage's John Madden, take my money. Unless you're Amazon, then you already got my money. So just let me stream the dang thing.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to this week's episode of Hard Knocks Training Camp with the Chicago Bears, episode 2. You said you watched this. I
did.
watched it too. Do you have some notes? Because I made a couple notes.
I didn't really. I watched it last night because I can't watch it the night it comes out because I'll forget about it by the time we
Right.
get around to it. So I watched it last night and look, this was one of the more, I wouldn't say it was boring, but there wasn't a whole lot that happened here. It seemed like they, from the get go, it was like filler. And I get it. Like they want to set a mood. Like anytime you go to one of these different teams for training camp, like you want to find an atmosphere. So they kind of leaned into the blues music of Chicago.
Right. Oh,
Which-
yeah. It started out with the Blues Brothers. And
Well, yeah,
thought
well,
that was
it's
great.
this one. Yeah, they started off with a few like they were just playing some blues music, and they were like showing some guys playing in a club, and then they were using that music in the background to just
yeah.
for a montage of like practice, which is fine. But I was just like, from right off the bat, I had red flags. I was like, it looks like a filler. So they were just like trying to buy their time. Other than that, I don't know. I am not feeling confident about anybody in the Bears organization. And I don't know if it's because they lack personality or if it's I don't know if they're doing a good job. They've definitely got talent. Like, don't get me wrong. Like Caleb Williams could be an absolute talent. It's hard to say watching this footage. He got ready for his first preseason game action. He got in there, did okay. I know people are overhyping him. It's whatever. He was playing against probably other teams' backups, so not gonna get too worked up about it. What'd you think?
Well, one of the things that I had written down here was the coaches had him in a meeting and they were breaking down the officiating crew that he was going to be facing.
That was actually
and
interesting.
And I had no idea that teams would do that. Now maybe they were just doing that for Caleb Williams because he is a rookie, but I just thought that was fascinating that they're talking about who the head referee is going to be, where he's from, a little bit about him, and they had a graphic. They had like a PowerPoint thing up, and they had all the entire crew. Who they were, where they're from, that sort of thing. And I've just never thought that they would go that far as to break down the officiating crew. Maybe talking about, they like to call this or they like to call that, or tendencies, whatever. So that was just fascinating. And they said that it'll take about 2 years for a team to see all of the different officiating crews throughout the NFL. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they do this every week or this just trying to get him ready for his first game. Hard to say, but I was fascinated by that.
That was actually interesting because I never really thought about it like that. Like, oh, that would in your preparation, like you probably would
Right.
look at the officiating crew.
Yeah, you're playing against them too.
Maybe not necessarily in that one-on-one environment because I'm sure you'd want to talk to your whole team about some of these refs but I did like that they not that it was singled out with Caleb Williams. I mean, that was I don't know if they did that just for the cameras or what, but I do like that they broke down the crew and they pointed out essentially what I thought was fascinating was that these are guys that have been in the league a long time and will continue to be refereeing in the league probably till the end of your career. So you want to build some sort of relationship. Like if they think you're a jerk,
Yeah.
that's gonna stick with you. So you want to make a good impression with referees. Otherwise, you're gonna get a reputation. They're gonna probably be like, oh, I ain't giving this guy any calls.
Yeah.
Or they'll be a little more apt to probably go the other way. It was just like you said, it was fascinating, interesting to look at it that way.
Yeah.
What else from this game? That Ian Wheeler, that number 33.
Yes.
I liked him. He's the one that has the option to go back for his PhD, or he's like been
Yeah,
working
he
on his
wants to be a
PhD.
doctor or something.
Yeah,
He's trying to stick with football as long as he can. He doesn't seem like he's that great of a player, but he did score 2 touchdowns in that game, and he was just a fascinating person. To me, he was the star of the episode.
I won't say he wasn't a great player, but they showed a lot of his mishandling the
Right,
ball and
right.
whatever, which is nice to see for a change because a lot of times like on these Hard Knocks you see all the great stuff, but then when they
Right.
want to really focus like on a narrative, they're like, oh, let's just show all the bad highlights. He probably had some good ones in there, and that running back coach, he was the only one with personality I felt like, and I was just not sure if I dug that running back coach, the one who was just so hard on everybody.
Mm.
Like he was like go up to the player and be like, "Hey, you need to get your pad levels lower." He's like, "I was." He's like, "No, you weren't." Like everything a guy tried to do, the coach would like. It was like not negative reinforcement. It was just like he kept hammering it, and even the player was just like, "Look, I like the guy. Like he'll be yelling at you. Then later on, he'll go, "Hey, that was actually a nice play." But he's like one of those coaches that just that tough love, like trying to get something out of you. And he was like running around with the running back after a play, like so. I kind of dug that energy. Finally seeing something from that Bears coaching staff. And I'm like, I don't see any of these guys, showing any sort of emotion, any sort of personality. That running back coach, whatever his name was, showed me some personality. Whether or not I liked him or not, it's a different story. But at least he had personality.
Yeah,
And
and of course they showed a lot of highlights from the Bills game.
yeah,
where Wheeler scored his 2 touchdowns.
and I'm curious to see because the next game, the Bengals is the team they played this last weekend, and there are going to be a lot of highlights from that. A lot of interesting stuff. I don't know if you watched any of the Bears highlights this weekend from that game, but there's a couple things that happened. I'm like, I can't wait to see them dive into this on Hard Knocks next week. Like Romo Dunze caught a touchdown pass, but he was outside the line. Like the way the lines were painted, like you could be mistaken that you were in the end zone, but he was like just a foot outside the end zone because he like planted his feet and caught it. And I'm pretty sure it was like, nope, you're out of bounds. So I'm curious to see how that how that goes. And Caleb Williams, I guess, struggled in his first few drives and then he kind of got going there. So be curious to see how that next Hard Knocks goes. But that referee part, till you mentioned that was probably the highlight of the episode. The referee,
like with some of the CFL games, I keep a little pad of paper next to me and I write down the scores and make a few notes that I want to remember when I get to my laptop later. And that's what I did with Hard Knocks. Is I just when I thought of something, I'd write it down.
And not to get too off track, did you watch that highlight of the referee from the British Columbia game?
Yes, I saw that when it happened live.
That was a good one. I saw that. That was pretty good.
Yeah. He hit the scoreboard above the field, which doesn't happen very often. So we're going to do a do-over. I posted that on our Twitter.
I love it. That's great.
Feed.
Maybe that's where I saw it, but it's pretty good.
Yep.
All right, anything else from Hard Knocks this week?
No. All right, let's move on to some Arena Football League news. Could the Arena Football League be changing its name next season?
Boy, the internet's in a tizzy.
There was a cryptic thing put out by Arena Fan saying that it's possible they could play under a new banner next year, and I'm confused. There's supposed to be a press conference in September where they're going to explain what's going on. I can't imagine them changing the name of the league, but I was telling you the story earlier. When they folded after the 2008 season, and they came back in 2010 when the AF2 bought all their assets out of bankruptcy and rebranded, they were going to call themselves Arena Football 1 because they had come from Arena Football 2, which was the developmental league. So I'm wondering, is that going to be the case, that they're going to change their name to Arena Football 1? Whatever they do, I don't like it. I like my Arena Football League just the way it is. I'm sure there's got to be a reason. Maybe there's some legal, shenanigans going on behind the scenes that we're not privy to. But boy, I hate the idea of them changing the name. I love the name and I love the logo, and that's my brand. That's my brand of indoor football.
It sticks, and of course, this is all speculation,
right, on our part.
We don't know for sure. Maybe they're just talking about it. We don't know. Part of me feels like, look, I could see why you would want to rebrand the league because they said the statement essentially that I saw, I think it was Arena Fan or maybe one of those other sites, said that the league still wants to play arena style rules, but they're just going to have a different banner or different name probably. And then you've got like teams like the Billings Outlaws and the Albany Firebirds who have said we are committed to playing in 2025, but they omit saying in the Arena Football League.
Right.
So that doesn't help. That just adds fuel to the fire to me, right now. on whether or not this whole league is going to get a new name. Like you, I'm not a fan of it, but I would understand because you also have the legal stuff going on with Arena Football Management, which is the subsidiary or the company owned by Lee Hutton III and his group of wackadoos who ruined the Arena Football League.
Right.
And so while those battles are going on, because Arena Insider posted a couple articles this week, one of which was how the Oregon Black Bears still owed like $30,000 in fees to the state,
the arena.
Yeah, the arena they were playing at. So is it this new arena league or the league owned by G6 Sports, the one that we like? Is it them just trying to distance themselves from that because they're G6 Sports who owns the Arena Football League name, but Arena Football Management was the league that originally was running the league, and then all that crap happened, and now they're in debt, and Lee Hutton just ran that stuff through the mud. If I would get it, if you're just trying to distance yourself, maybe it's a thing where it's like a temporary rebrand, where maybe you do go with, for the next couple of years, we're going to have to be Arena Football 1, or we're going to have to be the arena, something.
That's the only thing I can think of for them.
It's gonna be weird
because you gotta have Arena Football in the name, so.
Right? Because I mean, the National Arena League, which we'll talk about,
Arena Football Association, AFA.
Boy. No, I don't know if you can go that route, but I mean, like the National Arena League is getting away from the arena style rules. They'll still have arena in the name, but I don't know what you do to play the arena style rules and not even have arena in your name.
Right.
Would be a misstep. So I feel like arena will got to be in there somewhere.
Sure.
But I'm sure, I was wondering, maybe you just redesign the logo. Maybe you just do something a little different. Go back to the original Arena Football logo, maybe, to distance yourself. I don't know. Maybe a complete rebrand is just different color scheme, a different, font style. I don't know what you got to do to go about this, but we'll find out in September. And I hope they stick with the Arena Football name, because it is a brand that everybody knows.
Right.
It was dragged through the mud, which is unfortunate. But
yes, it was.
You know what everybody likes, Randy? Everybody likes a comeback. And look, our friend over at Arena Insider, Anthony Carter's been putting together those great episodic, the turbulent, I forget the full name. It's a long name. The turbulent revival of the Arena Football League.
Right.
It's a 4-parter. Episode 3 just came out, which, by the way, everybody go check out. It was great.
I have not watched it yet. I was going to watch it this morning.
Yeah, make sure you click on the right video this time.
Yeah.
But it was great. And the 4th and final part is coming out soon. And I don't know. I would love to see a league like, look, yep, we had our dark period. We were owned by a dude who sold us snake oil and almost ruined the league. And to me, he wins if you change the name. If you change the name and you have to rebrand like that hardcore, that extreme, I would say he won. I mean, he's still going to have to pay a bunch of money out of whatever for all the other crap that happened. But to me, I would call that a loss for this league. I get it. Like, the league owners probably want to distance themselves from it and just move on. But the Arena Football property, the Arena Football name and iconography and its history is just so important, and it is so valuable, I think, to football fans, us obviously. Right. But you always like to bring up that it's one of the longest running professional sports leagues in North America. Yeah. Obviously, you got the NFL, the Canadian Football League, and then it's the Arena Football League.
Right.
And to change that name and to either rebrand or restart, I don't know. I feel like you'd be losing something special, and I would hate to see that. Like, we've already lost the league temporarily for 5 years. It also went bankrupt before that. I would hate to see it just vanish completely. And I don't know. It's just it hurt me when I read even the speculation.
Yeah.
So and we don't want to get, like I said,
I didn't like it.
We're going on a little too long on it, but I would just hate for something like that to happen. Hopefully they change their mind, or hopefully it's just maybe it was an option that they're thinking about. And once word got to Tim, and Tim's like, well, this is good enough to, just kind of put out there,
Right.
I don't think he was trying to stir up nothing. It's just, it's the information. It's the facts. It's what's happening behind the scenes.
Right.
Because people are like us are kind of curious what's going to happen with the Arena Football League. So we'll see what happens. I hope they come, I would understand if you got to change it. I get it. The legal stuff, especially if that's the reason.
Yeah.
I get it. I don't like it, but I get it.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see. I almost thought of asking you, hey, you should hit up your buddy Steven Titus. And I'm going to say, yes, you're your buddy because he gave you a T-shirt. That makes you buddies. I think that's law. You guys are friends now. So I'd be curious to see, Because he wouldn't. I guess they wouldn't comment to Arena Fan like they didn't, and then they
Right.
posted that retweet saying we're playing,
Yeah.
and the cryptic like
Well, if
we're
he
playing somewhere next
if he
year.
told me anything, it would probably be off the record, so I couldn't tell you anyway.
Steven, don't do that to us, Mr. Titus. Don't do that to us.
Yeah, we'll see.
Would you do that to Randy? Have you seen that face of his? How could you do that? Tell him off the record. Does he look like a guy that you can say something off the record to? This guy's gonna blab it to everybody no matter what you tell him.
Well, that's you.
What?
I can keep a secret.
How dare you?
I can keep a secret.
You-
Let's move on. National Arena League. The Amarillo Dusters are joining the National Arena League in 2025. They were formerly the Amarillo Venom of Champions Indoor Football. They become the 11th team in the National Arena League. Just last week, or week before, it was the Shreveport Rougarou that were announced as the 10th team in the league. I thought they were going to stop at 10, and now all of a sudden, yeah, they got the Amarillo Venom. And I thought maybe the Venom were changing their name. Well, yeah, they changed their name to the Amarillo Dusters. I thought maybe they were going to jump to the Arena Football League because that was a name that was used in the Arena Football League for several years. But no, they're going to the National Arena League, so good for them. We'll see what happens there.
Yeah, I mean, I love that Amarillo Dusters logo.
Oh yeah, I love
mean,
that. That's really cool.
It was so good because they started.
AF2 had a bunch of cool logos.
They started off in the Intense Football League, and then they jumped over to the AF2.
I do not recall that. You could be right.
I think that's how it was because there was that because there was like a small league called the Intense Football League, and they had like 4 teams down in Texas because they had the Corpus Christi Hammerheads, the Odessa Roughnecks, and then they had the Amarillo Dusters, and I feel like there's one the Stampede. You have the
San Angelo Stampede
Express.
Yeah,
they were the San Angelo Stampede at first, and then they changed it to Stampede
They
Express.
merged with another.
It's cool because you have this coaster I use every week is literally a San Antonio Stampede Express coaster.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know if they were actually in the Arena League.
I don't know if they were, but I know Amarillo did jump over Odessa. I think did as well.
Yeah.
I don't think the Hammerheads did, but they all had cool logos. I remember when that league came around; they all had pretty cool logos. So
really cool.
So I like that brand of the Amarillo Dusters. They actually appeared in one of the Arena Football video games. They had all the AF2 teams. So I think I did play as the Dusters. So
okay, cool. All right, let's move on to some college news. Robert Griffin III has been fired from ESPN after, with 2 years left on his contract. Just another of the many on-air people that have been let go by the network in the past year. And I think this all started right after the Super Bowl when they let Susie Colbert go. And that was just a shock because she's been such a staple of that network and Monday Night Football. And
so was this just a cost-cutting thing, or was it? I mean, if he's got 2 years left on his, I wasn't sure if something else happened.
That I've heard.
Did he get into some hot water?
I don't believe so.
He speaks up a lot on social media, so I wasn't sure if that was something like that caused it.
As far as I know, there was no other reason than cost cutting. We thought that was over with a few months ago, but evidently not. They're still trimming the fat there on their network and trying to save some money so they can pay the NFL even more money to carry their games on Monday night. So yeah, sorry to hear that.
I mean, I don't know how you feel about Robert Griffin III. I think he's been an interesting personality.
I can take him or leave him, really.
I follow him a lot on X, so I see a lot of his big posts. So I don't know. It stinks. You hate to see these on-air personalities just kind of thrown out and like who they decide to keep. I thought he was one of the up-and-coming ones, but I don't know. It's just another millionaire losing a job.
Yeah. Let's see. Also, another story came out. You probably haven't heard this one. The University of Colorado quarterback Braden Fowler Nicolosi told his coach that he has been offered $600,000 in NIL money to enter the transfer protocol, and this offer was made by Kansas State, who is in need of a quarterback for this upcoming season. That's over $500,000 for the kid to go into the transfer protocol so they can pick him up and move from school to school. Is this what we've come to now in college football?
This is why
I don't like it.
This is why, and here's Adam banging the drum for the college, football teams are all going to have to eventually make a Pro league. It's going to have to be a league. See ya NCAA. It's going to have to be a new entity. This is essentially, I don't know if this is considered tampering, what this is considered, how this even would work. But it's essentially, it's like a free agent. I mean, I'm getting offered more money to go here.
Hmm.
Because does he have a contract with the school of Colorado? I don't know if that's what your letter of intent or that's what your scholarship says, but I I don't know. This is the wild wild west of college football now. This is the world we're living in. Until they come up with more guidelines and they just get rid of the NCAA altogether, this is what we got to deal with.
I hate it.
It's a pain in the butt.
All right, another story. Shaquem Griffin was going to be inducted into the University of Central Florida Hall of Fame sometime this season. You remember he's the player that was missing his left hand. He was a fifth-round pick in 2017 by the Seattle Seahawks, and he played 3 seasons with the Seahawks from 2018 to 2020.
He had a
Got
boatload of
twin,
highlights.
twin brother, the
Shaquille Griffin.
Yep.
I thought he was great. Oh, when he was out there, I mean, obviously he probably didn't get a lot of playing time, but when he did, it was great to see him
Right.
out there. He, doing everything every other player would do,
Mm-hmm.
and he was a great story. He was a great player.
Yes.
I think he did a lot of stuff in the community. Probably still does.
Mm-hmm.
So I always liked watching him. He was one of those players where it's like I wouldn't go out of my way to get a jersey of a guy that didn't play for the Lions. There's only a handful of guys I think either of us would ever probably consider that for. Like probably you would get a Doug Flutie jersey.
I got one.
You already got one. You know what I'm saying? Like he's a guy that plays for a different team. That you know what? I'd go get a jersey of that guy. For me, Shaquem Griffin was one of those guys. Like, you know what?
I remember you saying that.
He just
years
seems like
ago.
a chill enough dude, a good enough person that I would have gone out of my way to have gotten a jersey. I never did.
But you never did, yes.
I mean, that's what happens when your podcast ain't making money. Now that we're making a little bit of money, I could probably afford it in 5 years.
Yeah, we're making pennies on the dollar now every time somebody watches one of our videos. All right, last story in college football. According to the National Football Foundation, they're the ones that run the Hall of Fame, there will be a total of 774 college football teams fielded between the FBS, FCS, Division II, Division III, NAIA, and independent schools this coming season. 6 schools will actually be fielding teams for the very first time. They are Anderson University in South Carolina. They're going to Division II. Calvin University, right up the road here in Michigan. They're going to be in Division III. Centenary College in Louisiana, Division III. New England College in New Hampshire, Division III. Simpson University in California is going to the NAIA. And William Woods University in Missouri is going to be playing at the Division III level. Since 1978, the number of NCAA schools playing football has increased from 484 to 671 institutions in 2024. That's an increase of 187 schools since 1978 that now have football programs. And, Calvin University, I've always known them as Calvin College up in Grand Rapids, about an hour from here. And I just assumed that they had a football team. Because there's a few other, schools around there that all have football teams, and so I was surprised. I had to do a little, research, and yeah, they've never had a football team until now. So this is going to be their first season. So congratulations to them. Another thing that I found this week, and I posted on our timeline, Twitter and probably Facebook also. I ran across a thing about some of the best fantasy football names.
What? We're talking fantasy football on this podcast?
You know, I hate fantasy football. The only good thing I like about it are some of the fantastic team names that people come up with. And they had like the 10 best that they've seen this year on some, website for fantasy football team names. I pulled out a couple from that list that I thought were pretty good. The first one is Bed Bath and Bijan for Bijan Robinson. There's Tua for the money.
Mm-hmm.
Red Solo Cup, KUPP for Cooper Cup.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Jameer Comes the Sun for Jameer Gibbs, Lions running back. Baby Got Dak, Dak Prescott. And then Geno 911, that's Geno Smith making fun of the show Reno 911. So Geno 911.
I get it.
And then a year or two ago, you wanted me to get into fantasy football. Our friend in Japan wanted me to join the league. And
Still
I said,
could.
no.
I think he's looking for a last player.
I do not like fantasy football, but I came up with a name for myself, and it was going to be the Memphis Snowboats from the USFL. And I even made myself a cute little logo that kind of looked like the original.
Cute little logo.
Yeah, but Now, you've been running a fantasy football league for how many years now?
We're going into our 6th season, I think.
Okay.
I got a trophy and everything. We got a toilet trophy and everything. Might even put up a YouTube video this weekend because we're doing our fantasy draft this weekend. So I might have to put up something.
So are there any really cool names that
Like
some of your folks have?
in my league, nothing quite like that. Like I could tell you my team name. It's a little close to a swear word, so there's gonna be a nice little pause.
Yeah.
But it's Goff, then like yourself. So that's my team name. That's what I've been rolling with for the last few years.
Yeah.
We had a guy who just dropped out, but his team was called No Punt Intended.
No punt intended. That's pretty good.
Right? Isn't that a good one? Then we had trying to see. I'm like pulling up our team list. My friend's a Harry Potter fan, so her team name is called Hufflepuff Puff and Pass. So it kind of works on a couple of different levels.
Punt, pass, and kick.
One friend's a Denver Broncos fan, so her team name is called Orange Crushing It.
Oh.
Kind of, yeah. So I thought that one's pretty clever. Well, while you were talking about your names, I found ESPN's got a list of some good team names here. I'm gonna read some to you. How about Hurts So Good? Like Jalen Hurts.
Oh, Hurts. Okay.
Bijan Mustard.
I like Bed Bath and Bijan better.
That's pretty good. Olave Garden for Chris Olave, the wide receiver down there in New Orleans. Run CMC.
That's good.
Sherlock Mahomes. The Pollard Express. Better Call Hall. To Infinity and Bijan. I like that one.
That's a good one too.
The Tortured Pits Department, as a play on the Taylor Swift album that just came out.
Tortured Poets.
Mixing in Kyle Pitts.
All right.
Finding Debo. That's a good one. I like Slim Pickens. Fields of Dreams. A play on Justin Fields and Field of Dreams. I like that. Dak to the Future.
Dak to the Future.
So there you go. Dak could work. Hot Chub Time Machine. Bishop Sycamore. We all remember the Bishop Sycamore story a couple years ago.
Yes.
Let's see. Dude, Where's Lamar? I think that's a good one. This one's great. Country Roads, Take Mahomes. Hit Me With Your Prescott. Beg, Burrow, and Steal. Let's see. Mayfield of Dreams. I like that one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm About to Go Golf. That's a little more friendly than mine.
Right, yeah.
Lights, Camara Action for Alvin Kamara.
Yeah.
Oh Saquon UC.
Yeah, I think I've heard that one before.
Devontae's Inferno.
Okay.
Kittle, Too Late. Yippee-ki-yay, Justin Tucker. I like that one. Let's see.
You're not going to read the whole list, are you?
Almost done. I'm on a mission.
I'm on a mission.
That one's not as great. Tua B or not Tua B. There we go. That'll be the last one I read.
Okay.
There's a lot of good ones, and I'm sure. Hey, if you got a great fantasy name, leave it in the comments.
Yes.
We would love to see some of your fantasy names.
So
Because Aaron's joining our fantasy league this year. He doesn't have a team name, so I'm wondering if he just isn't creative enough to come up with a team name.
Maybe he can use Memphis Snowboats.
I don't think he will. He says he's waiting on a player that he drafts to kind of come up with a name, so we'll see.
Okay.
He's the only one without a team name in our league. So,
but yeah, definitely. If you've heard of one, or if it's your team name, let us know. I would love. I love these.
Because there's a lot. There's too many out there to list. There's so many.
I hate fantasy football. Do not play fantasy football. Don't endorse fantasy football. But please send me your name because these names are awesome. I love them.
You don't endorse it, but you're gonna do a whole segment on it right now.
We just did.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Today's birthdays. August 20th. Quarterback Mitchell Trubisky turns 30 years old today. Played his college football at North Carolina. He was the second overall pick in the 2017 NFL Draft by the Chicago Bears. Plays 7 NFL seasons so far. He's with the Bears from 2017 to 2020. He was with Buffalo in 2021. He was with the Steelers in 2022 and 2023. And I guess he's currently back with the Bills because he was injured in the game last week against the Steelers for the Bills. So I don't know how serious his injury is, but hope he's all right. All right, and we do have 2 obituaries this week. This is where we take a moment to honor those who've made the world of football a better place. The first one is Dan Dorazio, a longtime assistant coach in the Canadian Football League, has passed away at the age of 72. He spent 26 years coaching at various colleges, including Kent State, Hawaii, San Jose State, Washington, Northern Iowa, Boston University, Holy Cross, Georgia Tech, and Maryland. And then in 1988, he moved to the Canadian Football League, where he coached with the Calgary Stampeders, Saskatchewan Roughriders, Toronto Argonauts, and the BC Lions. D'Orazio won 2 Grey Cups with the Stampeders in 1998 and 2001, and 2 more Grey Cups with the BC Lions in 2006 and 2011. In fact, they actually mentioned him on the broadcast the other night during the BC Lions game. So, condolences to the family up there.
Yep. And our second obituary this week is that of Larry Walton, a wide receiver in the NFL for 8 seasons, has passed away at the age of 77. Walton played college football at Arizona State and was selected in the 3rd round of the 1969 NFL Draft by the Detroit Lions. He played in Detroit from 1969 to 1976 and finished his playing career in Buffalo with the Bills in 1978.
All right, our upcoming events calendar. Saturday, August 24th. That's this weekend, folks. Week 0 in college football. I think there are 6 games this week on the schedule.
It's back, baby.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
They said, what? No, there will be no Saturday for the rest of the year and into 2025 where it will be
Don't
without
have
college
college
football. So,
Yeah.
looking
Okay.
forward to it.
Yep, on Sunday, September 1st, it's the Black College Football Hall of Fame Classic in Canton, Ohio. The Benedict College Tigers are going to take on the Virginia State University Trojans at 4 o'clock. I looked into some tickets for this game. They range from $22 to $113. That's not a bad price. $22 for a ticket. I mean, we've been to that stadium. You can
Yeah.
sit up in the top of the stadium and
I don't
have
think
a
there's
great
a bad
time.
seat
No.
if you get it on
It's a
that
gr-
side of the field.
Yeah, it's a great stadium. If nothing else, I want to go and see the marching bands.
Yeah.
You know, if you know anything about HBCU schools, they have fantastic marching bands. I was in the marching band in high school. You were in the marching band.
Yes, I was.
We love marching bands, and they're always so great with these HBCU schools. So yeah, I'm kind of thinking about maybe going. I know you probably can't go that weekend. You're gonna be busy.
Well, that's
moving.
Labor Day weekend.
Yeah.
It's a toss up. We'll have to find it. If work lets me free that weekend, it's a possibility. And then I also got to run it by the missus.
Yeah.
So we'll figure it out.
Well, I've been talking about going to a black college football game there in Canton for a couple of years now, and haven't pulled the trigger yet. But maybe this is the year.
I mean, if you can convince Kyle to go, maybe we can make it a Hall of Fame trip, and you get a football game.
There you go. And there's a couple graves in that area I want to visit.
And
too,
of
so.
course, then he makes it all about himself.
All right, Thursday, September 5th, the NFL regular season begins. Man, that's only a week or so away. It's right around the corner. Regular season begins with the Ravens taking on the Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium. Friday, September 6th, the Eagles take on the Packers in Sao Paulo, Brazil. That game is Amazon Prime, I guess,
Yeah.
exclusively. Sunday, September 22nd, the European League of Football Championship game will be played. So we'll have a champion there in about a month. Saturday, October 26th, the CFL regular season comes to an end, and their season culminates on Sunday, November 17th in Vancouver with the 111th Grey Cup game. We will be there for that game.
Yeah, very excited.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait for that. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome time. Let's see. That's everything I've got. Anything that you wanted to mention before we close the show out?
I am not seeing any breaking news, so we should be all right. Other than the emphasis, going around in the arena football circles is that Albany has used the term they will be playing indoor football next season, so that's throwing everybody into a tizzy. Let the speculation run rampant.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's the Wild West out here. I just can't wait for this announcement so that we can just be done with this whole
Yes.
thing.
I didn't want to bring it up today.
I know, but I felt like
you
it
thought
had
we
to be,
should, and
I think it had to at least be mentioned.
yeah.
That, and we needed a third spot on the graphic.
Okay. Well, that's all the time we've got for this week. If you learned something during this podcast about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, then we have done our job. Visit our website at theworldoffootball.com for news, links, upcoming events, original articles, videos, and more. Our email address is info@theworldoffootball.com.
You can follow the World of Football on Facebook, X, and Instagram, where the address for all three of those is TWOF Kalamazoo. New episodes of this podcast are posted on Tuesdays and are available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. So you can simply ask your Alexa device to play the World of Football podcast to hear us on whatever Alexa devices you may have. You can also find the full audio version of this show on our YouTube page. Just enter the World of Football. Let me get through the script, all right? I've done this a billion times. Or you can use the handle at the World of Football in that YouTube search bar to find us. So please spread the word, subscribe, rate, review, give us a like, let us know what you think, and please come be a part of the football conversation.
You are obsessed with your phone right now. Does something
I was looking something up that's very important and relevant to us, Randy. So you need to just chill. Because I've been working on some stuff with the YouTube channel, and I was just making sure that, everything was working smoothly, and it hasn't popped up yet, so never mind.
Oh.
Because I've been working on getting the merch stuff set up.
I know that.
And might still be a day or two, but you might start seeing some merch stuff pop up on the YouTube channel, just saying. If y'all want a hat or t-shirt for now, maybe even a mug, we'll see.
Okay. And remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football than the two of us guys sitting here in Kalamazoo talking football. Until next time, when we'll try and do a better job. Yeah, right. I'm Randy Snow.
And I'm Adam Snow.
And we'll see you all again next week.